welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy at the request of Patreon subscriber Spunky, and this is Domain Bargain Beans. Rakshasa's Bargain is the new hotness in any Up the Beanstalk deck from Tarkir Dragonstorm. This is like if Stock Up and Sauron's Ransom had a beautiful baby that was more powerful than both, and we get to play it. I've already released SULTAI, Bug Beans, with Bargain, but that's not the only way to play Beans in the format. The Domain Beans that leans into Leyline Binding as a removal spell and Bean Trigger is another way to go. Leyline Binding actually pretty well positioned right now because Show and Tell has become a big part of the metagame because of Stock Up existing, and Show and Tell is a tough matchup for control decks historically. Being able to put in a permanent that breaks up some of the loops is pretty nice. Outside of the hyper-specificity of dealing with Show and Tell, this is a classic control deck. Just answer their stuff, draw some cards, and eventually you'll have more stuff than them left over to win with. Up the Beanstalk, one of the core engines. When this enters, when you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, draw a card. That is Triumph, Force of Will, Lorien Revealed, Leyline Binding, Rakshas's Bargain, Murktide Regent, and sometimes Prismatic Ending or Fourth Airlink can trigger it as well. And of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards that have printed mana values of 5 or greater, only one of them will you regularly play for its mana cost. In Force of Will, you get there. These games do go long. You will cast this eventually. That is how the end game works, but for 0, 2, 1, or 2, anywhere between 3 and 6, you could pay for this one, and usually 2 for this one. And that's how we cheat Up the Beanstalk. Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, another engine in this deck. Historically, control decks were based on Uro as the draw engine, so having Uro on top of Beanstalk and Bargain is really exciting. Bargain, putting the cards you don't take directly into the graveyard, both fuels Delve and Escape for Uro, and can place the Uro directly into your graveyard for you, which is ideal. Get to skip the front half and just go straight to the action. Most of these cards are pretty clear why they're in the deck. It just, Plow, Brainstorm, Ponder. These are legacy cards that you're going to see in decks that can play these colors. My thoughts specifically for this build are, I really believe in a main deck endurance if you're going to be heavy on bargaining, because decking yourself is a concern. Uro is not a particularly fast win con, and he draws cards every time he attacks, which is great if you have 20 or more cards in your deck, is concerning if you have 10 to 20, and is actively bad if you have 2. So 1 endurance somewhere in the deck, just to make sure you can get enough cards. If you're shredding with Bargain, if you're drawing with Beans, especially Beans in multiples, like I've beaten a lot of control players by letting them overdraw on multiple Beanstalks. Don't be the one to fall for that. Plus endurance lines up against Reanimator and Oops All Spells and Delver and Dimir Tempo. Just a solid card for the metagame right now, and Bargain gives us more green cards to pitch to it if we need to. In the sideboard, I've leaned on disruptive permanents. We've got Damping Sphere, Disruptor Flute, and Null Rod. You could go deeper if you know your metagame as far as more copies of these, Meddling Mages, Deafening Silence. I'm a big believer in permanents to stop combo in my control decks, because every combo deck knows how to beat Force of Will right now. Unless they're desperate, they'll be able to figure out how to beat a counterspell, so you got to lock them out from getting to the point where they even can challenge a counterspell. And that's how I'm building my decks right now. Big fan of Disruptor Flute. Ancient Tomb decks adopted this immediately when Modern Horizons 3 came out, and I think more fair decks should be looking at it as a tool to just make Show and Tell cost 6, because it's going to be uncounterable or defended when they cast it, so make it so they can't cast it. That's probably better. Those are my unique thoughts here. Hate permanence in the sideboard and endurance somewhere in the 75, probably one in the main, another in the board is what I've been happy with. One thing of note with Bargain, and I have not played any games with this list yet, so we'll see how this bears out in practice. I suspect we will play 4 or 5 for this card more often than we pay 3. There's only a single black source, it's the Xander's Lounge. And if we are trying to get domain, Xander's Lounge plus Savannah is the way you get domain off 2 lands. And that might be something we fetch for if Leyline Binding is an early piece of interaction we have. But these are not the lands I would go for if my hand is just like Ponder, Swords to Plowshares, Uro. Like I'd be going for Trops and Tundras to play most of the cards of the deck. Xander's Lounge really only matters for Leyline Binding. And there's only the one. If this gets wasted, there's not another black source we can fetch. So I think Bargain, unlike Bug, where I think I've only ever cast this for 3 out of Bug so far, I think we're going to see a lot of 4 mana, possibly even 5 mana Bargains cast in this league. That's just a thought as far as construction goes. If you're worried about this, you could play more black sources. If you don't put the Pyroblast in the sideboard and for their Lingus in the main, you could skew Volcanic Island to be a black land instead. That could be Underground Sea. Just little thoughts, tuning and testing already before I've played a single game. I'm going to stop rambling. Let's go play these games. I'm on the draw in round 1. Only Savannah to play the game on. That's not enough for me to keep a hand with. If I knew my opponent was on a graveyard combo deck, I do have Force Blue card and Endurance Greed card, but I don't know that, so I'm going to mulligan. Okay, much happier with this. I'm going to keep, and this is actually interesting because Leyline Binding is a better long-term plan versus Beanstalk, but Swords to Plowshares is better if they just, like, play Tamiyo or some shit I need to deal with quicker. I'm going to bottom the less efficient card, even if it does cost me greater interaction later. Opponent has also already mulled to 5, so they might be looking for some sick combo mess. Island, Tamiyo, look at that. Remember when I said I'm going to keep Swords to Plowshares in case they lead on Tamiyo? Okay, they got 3 cards in their hand, and the Tamiyo's gone. Polluted Delta. What are we working with here? We got an Underground Sea and a Thoughtseize. This is going to take up the Beanstalk, unless they actually are a combo deck, but Tamiyo is not usually in combo decks. I suspect we'll lose up the Beanstalk here. Yep. And the Re-Tamiyo. All right. I'm going to let that ride. I'm not going to spend 2 cards on that, especially if one of them's Uro. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Have trust in the deck. It'll deliver. What could go wrong? I had it the whole time. Okay, 2 cards in their hand, 2 lands. I'm about to move into the Uro phase of the game. They could have an Orcish Bowmaster. That is something I have to acknowledge may exist. All right, I'll keep Force on top. Here we go. I have a chance here to get Volcanic Island and build out Domain. Or I could just get a Trop. Or I should get Savannah, I think. Make sure they can't take me off the core colors with a Wasteland. Okay, Uro is on the stack. Trigger. B-Storm joins the squad. And they don't want to play anymore. Perfect. The mull to 5 into stuff their first 3 plays. You love to see it. This looks like a Dimir Tempo deck of some kind. They could have Reanimate stuff, but maybe they don't. I don't know. I like Carpet and Endurance versus both of those. I'm not going to bring in Surgical if I don't know that they're Reanimator. Some number of Pyroblasts looks like it makes sense here. They're probably a Murktide Regent deck. We know they have Tamiyo at least. I'm actually going to take an educated guess here and board out a bunch of Force of Wills. Moving 2-for-1 interaction to be 1-for-1 interaction, even though it doesn't trigger Bean. But this is something I noticed when I was playing Bug Beans as well. Having Bargain ups your Bean trigger count so you can board out Force of Will. Because historically, especially the Bug deck, it had like 3 Murktides, 4 Forces, and then some Murderous Cuts that could trigger Beans. This build has Binding and Triumph, so you're good anyway, but Bargain really fills in that gap. Okay. I got 1 more cut to make here. I could cut a Wasteland. I don't think I'm going to be Wastelanding this deck. I don't like trimming too many lands here, but Wasteland is mostly not useful anyway, and I'm bringing in Carpet of Flowers. Oh, Terminus might be really good here. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Hold your horses, everybody. Do I have room for Terminus? I'm not going to cut another land, even if it is Wasteland. Lingus might not be necessary in a tempo matchup. This is good at baiting up a Tamiyo. If they spend a turn flipping Tamiyo, you can dump a Lingus in and hit it with a bunch of horses. But I have Red Blast, Leyline Bindings, and Prismatic Ending to deal with Tamiyo. Okay, I'm going to do that. I'll bring in the Terminus over the Lingus and just win with my creatures. Island, Ponder, keep. I'm in. I need some other colors eventually, but I'm not going to mulligan. And if they are a Reanimator deck, I have Endurance green card. Thanks, Bargain. You're really doing it all. Opponent mulled to 6. And did not play a Tameo. A mistake. Already punting. A Ponder. I like all of these cards. Lorien Revealed is the least exciting of them, I think. Okay, I'm going to go Lorien, Red Blast, Ponder, or Brainstorm. Draw the Brainstorm. I'll draw Red Blast next turn. Red Blast isn't easy to cast, and I am trying to work my way to double green here. Okay, Undercity Sewers just dumped an Underground Sea, which means that the Wasteland probably is not going to be high impact, which is why I boarded one out. But if they're not keeping lands, then that makes me think they already have them. A profound observation, I know. I'd like to get Hedge Maze with this, but I'd also like to cast Red Elemental Blast at some point in my life. A Bayou. Oh, we're Bug Beans. Didn't see that last game. Yeah, I'm just going to get Hedge Maze. Trop. Yeah, I'll keep lands. Yeah, I'll play out the Trop and pass the turn. I can cast Bargain next turn for 4, if that's what I want to do. As predicted, that Black Pip, not really easy to find. Oh my god, Lotus Petal? What is going on? Oh, no, actually, what's going on? I have no idea. Thoughtseize is going to take Endurance probably, but that lets me keep Brainstorm available. All right, what cards have we seen? We've seen Tameo, Thoughtseize, and now we've seen Lotus Petal. Is this a Chain of Smog combo deck? Tempo Chain of Smog? I can cast Leyline Binding, it costs 3, and I have 3. I can cast Endurance, I can pitch cast Endurance, I can also Brainstorm looking for the goods. My hand is pretty good right now. But they do get to look at it and take whichever one they're most worried about. Okay, they don't want to play a long game against me. Fair. Life from the Loam. Fascinating. I guess I will just cast that. Should I Wasteland first? No, that doesn't matter. I don't think I'm going to Wastelock them. Okay, Life from the Loam targeting Flooded Strand. This gets me Volcanic Island or Xander's Lounge. Now they know my Red Blast is on, and I have a shuffle with Brainstorm if I want that. I can also cast Leyline Binding for 2 now. Or I could actually do it for 1. Yeah, I could get the Xander's Lounge and then we're good. All right, yeah, I'm going to get Xander's Lounge. That gives me Domain. Not Dredging Loam. Savannah's here. I think I'm just playing Draw Go until they make me do something. I could play Endurance and just start chipping in. This might be messy and overly aggressive, but it's happening. Okay, their graveyard's gone. They're doing something now. This could be Revolt for Fatal Push. This could be... Yeah, okay. Revolt for Fatal Push. You got me. Another Bargain. Let's go. I am going to play out the Wasteland here, and I think I also want to use it. This Bayou is suspicious. Let's turn off green where we can. Floated a black, and then didn't do anything with it. Cool. And I do have Life from the Loam. If I want to move into a Loam squeeze situation, we'll see what Bargain offers. Funny enough here, I think that I'm going to pay 4 for Bargain just to leave a Red Blast to protect it. Doomsday, this is what we're doing? I guess that makes some sense. All right, do I want to let the Doomsday resolve? And I don't want to, but... Okay, the option is Brainstorm, or the option is Bargain. Yeah, I'm going to Bargain. Green, blue... 1-2, leave up the Red Blast. Or there's some sort of mid-rangey build of Doomsday. Teferi tends to be very good versus Doomsday piles. Makes it hard for them to do any tricks. I will take Teferi and Brainstorm here, dumping Uro directly into the graveyard. First time I've done that. Mark it for the history books. First time Bargain has put Uro directly into the graveyard, and it's the first time I've cast Bargain with Uro in my deck. It was meant to be. My plan here, if they... So they still have a land drop. If they try to Brainstorm to start a pile, I will Red Blast it. If they just cycle Street Wraith to jump off their pile, I might already be dead. But now they have to think about the 2 cards that they don't know don't interact with a spell. If they don't do anything, if they just make a pass pile without using their Lotus Petal, I'm going to Brainstorm in the end step for velocity. Let's have a look here. We got Carpets, some number of Tameos, pretty cool Dark Rituals, good choice. But the Future Sight Frame, Doomsday too. Opponent doing a good job over here with their card selection. Veil of Summer. How many Force of Wills do we have? 1, 2. Oh, no, they're not mismatched. I just got lost. 1, 2. I'm busy judging their card selection rather than actually playing the game. I only count 3 Force of Wills, so there might be one in the mix somewhere. I can do a recount in the future. Okay, end step Brainstorm. And I got a couple options here. If I draw a land, I will put it on top and dredge Loam. Oh yeah, this is insane. Okay. I'm going to dredge Loam on my turn to clear those lands. So that clears the lands. It gives me a green card for Endurance. If I play Teferi, it'll be very hard for them to interact with anything. Then I have Leyline Binding. All right. Teferi's on the stack. They know I have Red Elemental Blast. They don't know I have Endurance. I have 6 cards in my hand. I'm going to minus Teferi on nothing and draw a card. Wow. A miracle trigger because I have not drawn a card yet. Now I have this cool option where I can Leyline Bind this Lotus Petal if I don't think there's going to be a more important permanent to target with that in the future. I could also just keep the Brainstorm in case I need to dig. I think I'm just going to hold up access to Leyline Binding in case they have a creature pivot. I mean, Doomsdaying into Shieldred doesn't really win a game, though. I can just wait and they die. Veil of Summer. Yeah, that's effective, and killing the Leyline, or killing the Lotus Petal would have actually stopped that. Consider, but guess what? Endurance isn't a green or isn't a black or blue card. Neither is Leyline Binding. The Cavern of Souls. Thassa's Oracle. Trigger on the stack, I'm going to Endurance them. Exiling the Loam. That puts all these back in the deck. So Thoracle will not win the game, but there is a pile of useful cards in there. One of them is Jace Wielder, who can still win a game, but that'll be tough through Leyline Binding. I'm going to end step Brainstorm. I think I want to set up this Triumph. Okay, Beanstalk, or Plow doesn't matter. Beanstalk's going to be too slow. I would like to reveal Triumph. All right, they've had enough. They know they're not going to win this, and they know I have Red Blast for the Jace and Binding for the Jace. Finding that second Endurance was key, and not knowing what they were playing for almost the entire match was also key. I would not have used the Endurance that aggressively if I knew they were a combo deck that cared about Endurance, but welcome back to the formats, Endurance. I've missed you. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in round 2. Hand, I'm dead to combo, but my hand is the perfect hand for a fair matchup. Island Ponder, the creepy dark island from Double Feature. The set where every card is a swamp, even the normal cards. Even the non-lands are swamps. Okay, yeah, I'm just going to cast Ponder. Trying to set up Domain is not urgent. Okay, I am going to bank this Force of Will. It's not going to work this turn, but next turn I will have Beanstalk in play, Force blue card in hand, and another Beanstalk. Just hope I don't die this turn, I guess. Ponder. Another basic island. This is giving me show and tell energy. Decks that play this many basic islands are always a little concerning. But the Leyline Binding, excellent against show and tell, obviously. And I've banked up the Force of Will. Beanstalk, we'll draw another Beanstalk if it resolves. So I have a layer of defense if they're combo, and I'm going to crush their life if they're not combo. Stonks up. All right. I think this is Omni Show. 3 basic islands and a stock up. What deck does that? What other deck does that? I've already told you what deck does that. Trick question. A Flooded Strand can finish my Domain. Beanstalk trigger. Draw another land. Okay. Right now is a big turn to not lose the game. Ancient Tomb, confirm this is Omni Show. In case there was any doubt, which there wasn't. I'm drawing some bricks here. That's not how I want to be doing this right now. Just any blue card so I wouldn't have to pitch the first force to the second force would have been nice. And then the double cantrip goes a long way. Intuition, have fun. What are you showing me? Oh God, what are you showing me this for? Anyone else watch The Penguin? That show was great. 3 Omnisciences. My opponent knows about science. Omnishow can win over the top of a Leyline Binding trigger that is in their range. Oh, they're stocking up. Yeah, please take time to let me find another piece of interaction, another blue card. Give me 2 layers of force before you go for it. But they're under no pressure, which means they might be just building up the perfect interactive hand to beat Leyline Binding. Endurance. You're not helpful here. So if I put in Endurance, it could create a round of priority for me to cast Leyline Binding, then I get triggers. Yeah, I'm not taking Endurance here. Opponent's got to clean up, dumped an Emrakul. All right, they shuffled their own graveyard in. Right, another force. Now I can hard cast force, draw 2 cards, pitch cast force, draw 2 cards. If any of the cards off the hard cast force are blue, I can pitch, draw 2 more, pitch, draw 2 more, and then show Leyline Binding after all that. I like the shields I have up right now. I need to apply pressure somehow, or else they're just going to keep sculpting until their hand's unbeatable. Stock up. I think I will force this. I think they've stocked up. I stock up instead. How about this? I draw 2. All right, stock up's countered. I found some threats. They're slow, but there's threats. They are threatening. Are you threatened by them? Are you threatening me? I'll start with Ponder. The Lingus. That's a threat. Holy smokes. Hold on. Hold on. The game has changed. Okay, Tundra, Ponder, Lingus. Do not shuffle. Play Island. If I Lingus for 3, that will trigger the Beanstalks. Okay. Yeah, Lingus for 3. This is the corner I'm trying to turn here. Trigger, trigger. Now I have force, force, blue card, blue card. Each one draws a bunch of cards, and I'm the Monarch. And they're taking real damage. I think they're going to start going for it this turn. End step, Monarch, trigger. I'll have to discard 3 cards. I'm going to clean up Prismatic Ending, Swords to Plowshares, and Tundra. Keeping all the blue cards for forces. And the Leyline Binding, of course. Upkeep, fetch. Mystic Sanctuary. Oh, they're still stocking. It's interesting they would reach for stock up in a spot where they're under this much pressure. Yeah, maybe they just really don't have it yet. Fascinating. This is not the fight I'm going to fight, though. It felt good last turn. I don't like it this turn. Right, there's show and tell. Force, pitching one of these Uros. I draw 2 cards. There's one more force in my deck somewhere. Force me back. Your force resolves. Now force pitching the other Uro. That's not my win con anymore. I draw 2 cards. Murktide. I'm out of forces. So they pitched Stock Up and Omniscience. Well, show and tell will get to resolve. Let's see if Leyline Binding's enough at this point. If they have Cunning Wish, it might not be. If they have Emrakul, I'm fine. All right, Impulse gets a lot of digs. Cunning Wish. A little too slow. Firemind's Foresight. This gets to search for Brainstorm, Impulse, and another Cunning Wish. There they are. And Impulse. Yeah, the Cunning Wish can get Trick Bind and beat the Leyline Binding, if they even care about that by the time we get there. There's the second Cunning Wish. Release the Ants if they have Emrakul on top of their deck. I cannot win a Clash. Okay. All right, so they don't even need to Trick Bind. They're just going to go for the win. And I don't have a 15 drop in my deck, so I lose. GG. That's why that matchup's so scary. My hand was excellent, and they still just beat me. Okay, Disruptor Flute, Damping Sphere, Carpet Pyroblast, Red Blast, all in, Force of Negation. Surgical is a consideration. If I can get something important into their graveyard, like the card Intuition, if they intuit for 3 of the same thing, I can exile one of the ones they put in the graveyard, then also get the one in their hand. All right, Life from the Loam's not it. Swords to Plowshares is not it. Teferi's excellent. Tamio's excellent. Wasteland has its spots. 4th Aerolingus is excellent. Endurance is a threat with Flash, though the graveyard aspect of it doesn't matter. I'm not going to deck myself in this matchup, and they don't use their graveyard. How do I win if I don't cast this card, if I don't have this card in my deck? Uro is so slow, and they see it coming a mile away. Lingus is my primary win con. I mean, Murktide's really good. Okay, Endurance is out. I'm going to cut Prismatic Ending as well. They might have something like Carpet of Flowers. We only saw mono blue that game. Well, maybe they don't. I'm not sure. That's 7. I like Leyline Binding a lot. I don't think I need basic planes. They could play Harbinger of the Seas or back to basics. I don't think they're going to, though. If I'm cutting a land, though, it's going to be a Wasteland. All right, I said I wasn't going to do that, but I changed my mind. I have 2 carpets coming in. That's replacement mana. Do I want this Surgical? Is there a card in my deck that is worse than Surgical Extraction? So I do have to be able to win the game. I have this Heavy Disruption. And my next cut would be Basic Planes, I think. Do I want to go down? Yeah, all right. If I have a carpet, it makes up having 2 lands in my deck. If I just have 2 lands in my opener, which I do, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, I'm just going to keep this. I have bindings. I can send them. My next land gets me Teferi or Uro. Red Blast. That'll be hard to cast. Okay, fetch land is the best card in my deck. A Brainstorm from the opponent. Lorien Revealed, shuffling the Brainstorm in the upkeep. There's the island. And deck, how about that fetch land? I'd take any land. I'm not going to be picky, but a fetch land is ideal. Up the Beanstalk, not going to argue, though. Opponent should read that I just drew this because I would have played it last turn if I had it. A quick Spell Pierce. And we're in the danger zone. If they send it here with the instant win, they got it. Taking some time to stock up. You can't put in Teferi off show and tell, by the way. There's always someone in the comments that says, why didn't you put in your Planeswalker when they show and told? Then they couldn't have done a Cunning Wish line over the top of a trigger. Yeah, I know, but that's an illegal play. Okay, a Trop, and I'm going to go for Teferi. This is more important than Uro. Cool. And I'm going to minus to draw a card. Found a land. So now if they show and tell, Leyline Binding actually does just beat a Cunning Wish line over the Omni. And if they don't show and tell, I'm going to have red online starting next turn to help win fights. When War of the Spark came out, little history lesson for you, the world got a lot better for control versus show and tell decks. Just the Teferi plus Narset, squeeze them out, was a whole thing that we were able to do that we were never able to do before that. Okay, Beseiju. I wasn't planning on countering the spell. There is a Wasteland in my deck still. That's not it. Okay, pass the turn. If they Beseiju a way to remove Teferi, that's interesting. Stock up. Okay, I'm going to let them stock up. I think what I'm worried about here is specifically Otawara. I really like the comfort of having Red Blast in my hand, though. Okay, they've tapped Beseiju for Cunning Wish. I can't counter that. Can this get, like, Echoing Truth? Yeah, wipe away. That works. This would be a great time to find that Wasteland that I have. I'm going to get Xander's Lounge here. Discarded Emrakul, shuffled away the graveyard. So they don't need that, is what they're saying. Brainstorm. Oh, the Surgical. 1 moment too late. Okay, put back these extra lands. Play Misty Rainforest, plus Teferi, and pass. Can I play Murktide here? No. Alright. The wipe away is naturally uncounterable. It has split second. Cycling Lorien. Another island. They don't have enough mana here. Okay, something's happening. Uncounterable stock up. Yep. I was about to say they don't have enough mana to wipe the Teferi and go off. They're stocking up instead. 8 cards in hand. If they discard another Emrakul to hand size, I'm clipping it. End step, I'd really like another white source, but I think I need to get Hedge Maze for the selection. If I find my Wasteland in this environment, I'm doing okay. Dump to Savannah. Discarded Lorien Revealed. Found another Flooded Strand. I think I should play Uro from the graveyard. Okay, green, green, blue, blue. I have to apply pressure at some point. This is another look at Wasteland. Force of Negation. Oh, even if the show and tell itself is uncounterable, I can Red Blast and Force of Negate the cards that they play after it from their 8-card hand. What could go wrong? All right, Teferi's gone. That's how Wipe Away works. Uncounterable show and tell. I'm going to fetch in response for a white source. Get Tundra. So this has to resolve. And I put in Leyline Binding. Then they try to go off over the top. And then we have the real fight. Impulse over the top. I don't think this is my fight. Or I should Red Blast Omniscience in response to this. That's the play. Destroy target blue permanent. Yeah, if Omniscience is just gone, then I don't care about Leyline Binding. Spell Pierce. Force of Negation. Do I want a Surgical to see what's going on? I'm going to Surgical their Show and Tells and see what's going on in their hand before I decide what else I'm going to do here. Maybe I should have started with that. They have Force and Consign and Emrakul. Okay. So I'm cooked. No, that's not true. I have another Leyline Binding. That's why I did this. But they can Consign that and Force. Yeah, I'm cooked. All right, I'm just already dead. Wow, that's so many layers. Okay, I can't pay 2 for Spell Pierce. And then I'll play another Binding. Just trying to get this fight going right now. They're going to Consign this. They could even Replicate if they want. Yeah, they can counter both triggers. Okay, I'm going to Force of Negation one of the Consigns. It should be this one. Yeah, this Consign. Pitching Uro. Then they force my Force, and then Impulse has to find another... Or no, they've already got the answers. They've already won. What a beating. The Consign with the extra mana. No, we can see all the layers I put up there, but all the layers they put up. And this is what I'm talking about. Uncounterable Show and Tells. You got to be able to beat that. Can I beat this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I can sacrifice 6 permanents and then attack them. Oh, they also have Cunning Wish. Never mind, I lose. All right, I don't need to see more. You did it. Yeah, that Surgical showing up one draw step after they discarded the Emrakul was a tough beat. But yeah, that was perfect. That's what the showdown's going to look like, and one of you is going to come out exactly 1 card ahead, and there it is. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw for round 3. Hand is awkward, but not so bad I won't keep it. But Bayou, okay. Is this Cradle Control? Is it Bug Beans that doesn't want to ponder on turn 1? Is it some Reanimator deck? Is it that Doomsday opponent from round 1? They're targeting themselves with Unmask. Well, that's annoying. This is the all-in... So this is actually exciting. I'm not going to say it's annoying. It's exciting. Because this is the all-in terrible build of Reanimator that I am okay playing against. Like, I could have just had Force of Will or Surgical Extraction and the game is over. But they got to high roll me, and that's fine. We both discard our hand at the end of their turn, and I think it's better to hide what I'm doing than it is to try to draw White Source into Swords to Plowshares in that order before I take 3 hits from that thing. Okay, Surgical, Force, Endurance. I don't think Disruptor Flute or Damping Sphere are what I want. I think just those 3 and then awareness of the matchup. I don't need Light from the Loam. I don't need Prismatic Ending. Swords to Plowshares might be good enough. Teferi's probably fine. I am going to cut a land. I just have to decide if it's going to be Plains or Wasteland. I think it should be Wasteland. Oh, if I'm going full squeeze mode, the Disruptor Flute would be in too. Just naming Reanimate with that could slow them down. Or Entomb. I don't have any Veil of Summers in the list. That is a card you could play if your meta calls for it. I do like Lingus here. This is a matchup where even Lingus for 1 getting the Monarch could take over the game. Yeah, I'm going to skip on Disruptor Flute and go with the light upgrades here. Okay, Force blue card and the ability to ponder into more action. I will keep this. Oh, they could juke here. They could have Show and Tells or Creatures if this is classic turbo red-black Reanimator. Or green-black, because we saw Bayou in their deck. Swamp Petal. Thoughtseize targeting me. Disappointing. Okay. If I get Thoughtseize, Dark Ritual, and Tomb Reanimated, it's fine. That is a world I'm comfortable living in, losing to that. Took the Force. and did not have a follow-up. I have another force now. Okay. Lauren revealed. I'm going to get Tropical Island. And then I'm going to ponder, plow, brainstorm, another land. I don't really want any of these. I'm going to shuffle it. Hedge Maze, I'm fine with. Bloodstainmire, Cabal Therapy. Well, I know I have 2 ponders in my hand, but I still have Force Blue card through all that. That was brutal, though. The RNG therapy. Okay, I've got some work to do here. There's the Wasteland. I am going to play Hedge Maze, though. Oh, shit. Well, I don't want to draw that, and I don't want to put it in the graveyard because it gives them something to reanimate. I guess I have to put it on top and just deal with it. Maybe I was supposed to play Wasteland here so I can hardcast Force of Negation and not lose my Uro. I could also Force of Negation and Entomb in my end step if I had hardcast it. Yeah, that wasn't great. Kept a card on top. Witherbloom Apprentice resolves. That is a creature. I am drawing Triumph of St. Catherine. Playing Wasteland. I guess I'm just going to waste this thing. It's here. I will go for the squeeze. They can Cabal Therapy, naming Force of Negation now, if their hand continues to develop. After that, Unmask pitching Entomb, targeting me. Well, I've lost. Yeah, I mean, forcing this doesn't matter. If they have the chain, they win. If this game came down to Cabal Therapy, just having 3 ponders and they know it is so messed up. All right, Dark Ritual gets me for a point. And show me that Chain of Smog. The 5-color mana base also killed me this game because I did see Swords to Plowshares, but it was next to Volcanic Island, and that was not going to do it. So they force checked me game 1, and they got there. And then game 2, some deck construction issues and some just like, if these 3 ponders were like 2 ponders and a brainstorm, I think I'm ahead this game. But they're not. So, I mean, that's just Magic, and they condense the game into being super short. I'm definitely less grouchy about losing to a construction like this than I am to the busted reanimator stuff we've been playing against the last year and a half. On to the next round. The 9th installment of the NYSE Vintage Open Series is coming. This 15 proxy vintage tournament with Power 9 prizes takes place on Saturday, June 14th, 2025 in Long Island, New York, and has a $500 entry fee. That's a hefty entry, but the guaranteed prizes for top 8 are unlimited Black Lotus, Ancestral Recall, Time Walk, and all 5 Moxen. The NYSE Open 8 went well for me last year. Someone better come stop me from getting another Lotus. Will it be you? I'll be at the NYSE Open 9 on June 14th, and I hope to see you there. Register on melee.gg or use the link in the video description. I'm on the play in round 4. A little worried about this. The Savannah Wasteland killing me here. Just looking at this mana base real quick, taking a moment to take stock of what we're dealing with. We have Plains, Savannah, 2 Wastelands that don't make blue at all. And then we have Xander's Lounge, Mystic Sanctuary, and Hedge Maze that come into play tapped. That's 7 ways that we could fail to cast Ponder on turn 1, and Ponder is part of the mana base in decks like this. I think I have to mulligan this hand, and that really stinks. I'm not saying necessarily that the mana is misbuilt or anything quite so dramatic. I'm just saying we got to think about it while we're there. Okay, here we go. I'm going to lead on Hedge Maze and hope I don't die. Up the Beanstalk. Slam it right in my hand. Island Ponder. Very smart. Good island, too. Versus Saga. Good call. I'm going up the Beanstalk. That resolved immediately. Okay. Looty Duty. Got a Bayou. Is it a Bean Mirror? Oh, yeah, we're doing it. Okay. Well, they're Bug Beans, and I'm 4-color Beans. I think they are generally advantaged, but if I can get something going here, we could switch that. Like if this Uro trigger puts in Wasteland, all right, they're dazing me. Yeah, I guess that's allowed. Okay, fine. Fine! Well, they have Daze in their build. A card that I don't even have in my Bug Beans build. Oh, God. I'm not going to beat 2 of these. I will force this one. They force me back. Yeah, bean on bean combat is so weird. All right, so they have 2 of these now. I think I want to Wasteland their Bayou and then hit them with Endurance. I don't need to Endurance right away, but if they play a fetch land, it becomes an issue. Storm Chaser's Talent. Fun. Okay. So they have this town ain't big enough in their deck. That's the only reason to play that card. All right, I'm going to play Endurance here. It's earlier than I wanted to do this, but it's happened. I need to apply pressure. I'm behind triple hate. Yeah, they have Murderous Cut. Draw 3 cards. Oh my god. All right, I've been cut murderously. And they draw 1,000,000. Another Beanstalk. All right. Well, can this resolve? This is the only way I keep up ever, is meeting them where the Beanstalks are. Okay, put back Loam and Bargain, and then maybe I can bargain my way out of this. All right, they're up. They have 7 cards in hand to my 2 in this moment, but I can catch up very quickly. They cycled for a Trop, another Storm Chaser's Talent. That's another Otter. The Otter beats are coming. All right, here we go. For 4 mana, because that's what the spell costs in this deck, basically at all times. Draw, bargain. No lands in 6 cards. Disappointing. There's a third Beanstalk. My Endurance is already used. I'm a little worried about decking. I already have a Teferi in my hand. I guess I need this Swords to Plowshares because I will die to these Otters. And I don't think I want the third Beanstalk. I don't think I can win in time. Maybe I'll just take another Teferi and turtle up. Really wanted to land, though. Bargain! Okay. They get theirs for only 3 mana? That's so cheating. This is an exciting game, though. They dumped at this town and an Underground Sea. Misty Rainforest, attack for 4. Discard Mystic Sanctuary to hand size. I drew a land. My goodness. Okay. I'm going to plow an Otter and see if they want to fight over that. Because I'd rather resolve Teferi between the 2. Another Tundra and Teferi. I think they will fight over this. If they can. Yeah, they've drawn so many cards. There it is. Okay. My Teferi's countered, and the Storm Chaser's Talents, when it reaches level 2, you can return an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. If they just bank Force of Will over and over again here, dumped an Uro. And although my opponent and I have cast many of the same cards this game, you'll notice that they are ahead, and it's because they're doing something a little lower to the ground. Like just having a 1/1 prowess in play, while otherwise our resources are comparable, is a big deal. Another one. And a Wasteland. Alright, so I'm going to play another Teferi this turn. Doesn't seem likely it will resolve. Okay, I drew a land. That helps a little. Flooded Strand, Teferi. Just going to cast it. Here it is. Wow, it resolved. That's fun. Didn't expect that. I'm going to bounce one of the Otters and lose Teferi to the other Otter. Fetch for Mystic Sanctuary. I can buy back Force of Will. Give me something to do. No, I actually need red here. And then Life from the Loam back 3 lands. And pass. It's just having the extra Otter in play to kill Teferi now. Completely different board state than we were talking about last turn when I tried to cast Teferi. My opponent does have 23 cards in their deck. Bowmaster, shit. That card is not beatable. Yep. I'm not on Storm Chaser's Talent in my build of Beans right now, but I am on Bowmaster, and getting low, these chip damage things, even if I could catch up to them on cards, I'm going to take the 7 damage I have left in my life along the way. Yeah, I actually just can't win this game. I'm going to concede to save time. Okay, the lower to the ground Bean deck, doing its job. Endurance Carpet come in. I could see Terminus being useful. Pyroblast if they have all those Storm Chasers talents. I'm in for that. They probably have access to Witherbloom Command too, which means they could kill my Beanstalks once they're in. I have Leyline Binding and Prismatic Ending for that. I don't think I could count on 4th Aerolingus here. Triumph seems fine. I'm probably not going to Wasteland them. I do like Light from the Loam because they're a better Wasteland deck than me. I think I'm going to shave a Force and an Uro. Just trying to make room for these cards. Maybe Ponder's not that important. I could cut basic Plains. That means they could waste me off white. But if I'm bringing in these carpets, they're also a Daze deck. There's a lot going on here. A lot to keep track of. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to cut another Ponder. And Teferi is actually pretty bad versus Bowmaster. Maybe I go down 1 Teferi. This is a mess of sideboarding, but I do want to try all these cards. Here we go. Okay, keep, drop, ponder, a Terminus. Okay. I'm going to draw a Tundra. Terminus is 2 cards down. I can shuffle that away with Lorien Revealed if I need to, but at least having the option is fun. Thoughtseize, likely to take my... I guess Leyline Binding and Force of Will are all reasonable takes here. Thoughtseize is another card that I think black... Like, I just think that, not to go nuts here on the deck all of a sudden, but I think Bug Beans is better than 5-color Beans, and I think it always has been, going back 2 Eternal Weekends ago. Having access to Thoughtseize and Bowmaster being a good Wasteland deck, Witherbloom Command just dominating. There's so many reasons to be this deck instead of, or their deck instead of mine. All right, they've got a Bowmaster. I'm going to brainstorm in response. Beanstalk, Binding. Okay, I'm going to put back Force of Will, because I don't have any blue cards, and Terminus. And then this thing resolves. They just asked in the chat if they could get my list after because they want to try splashing white. And I'm in the middle of a rant about how maybe you shouldn't. They could take me off green here. This was probably a long-term plan when they Thoughtseized that Lorien Revealed all those years ago. Life from the Loam, picking up Wasteland. Alright, well, I'm probably dead. I was dead anyway. At the top of my deck is Terminus, Force of Will. I can't win this game. This might be preemptive, but I am going to concede after I respond to their message. Okay. Yep, I'm done. I'm just waste-locked here. The Loam is a great tool there. And that was a beautiful picture. I am going to take some time to talk about this, about when you're playing against, like even in that show and tell matchup where I just had 2 Beanstalks in play and 7 cards in my hand, and if they resolve show and tell, I could put in Leyline Binding, and it all felt really cool, versus like a Daze that they were way past, or like a Stifle that probably wasn't going to find a target, or a Bowmaster when they were using stock up to draw cards. Even the scenarios where you picture this deck being better than that deck, we still lost that game. Show and tell still beat us because we weren't low to the ground, we weren't hitting them, we weren't coming into their space with cards like Thoughtseize, we weren't pressuring them with cards like Bowmaster. And then, you know, heaven forbid, you actually queue into a Wasteland matchup and your Leaning Tower of Pisa of trying to get Domain online just in case you draw Binding, while also trying to get blue, blue, green, green for Uro in your deck with 4 lands that don't tap for blue. And you know, a Wasteland could just, as we saw that game, they wasted my Trop, and then I couldn't cast the Beanstalk in my hand. I set up the Terminus, and they were just going to waste all of my colored sources forever. Yikes. If you like this kind of build more than Bug Beans, that's fine, and this is viable and you can do stuff, but seeing them head to head and just getting washed it hits close to home for me, because one of those decks I'm very interested in and one of them I've not been very interested in, and seeing them head to head is something. On to the final round.
The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables.
I'm on the draw in the final round, trying to get some redemption. My hand has lands, I can survive a double force check, and I can move cards around if the matchup's slower. Bonus on a mull to 6. Island. Ponder. Great choice of island. This is the island I played with before I got my betas. I still have a stack of these in my Magic closet. I've not gotten rid of them. Beautiful. All right, Triumph of St. Catherine was my draw. Awkward Miracle Pause in my upkeep. I can set that up long-term with this Brainstorm if I don't shuffle the Brainstorm. Tamiyo. Well, there it is. Not really ready to play against that card, but play removal. Maybe I'll find some. Savannah. Okay. Volcanic Island lets me cast Brainstorm if I want to. I can also fight over this Teferi. Ponder, that's 2 cards drawn this turn. If they just have a land to go with the clue, they'll be okay. Urza Saga. All right, Urza Saga Tamiyo. At the beginning of combat, I'm going to Brainstorm just in case I find a Swords to Plowshares. I would like to stop this Tamiyo from doing her thing. All right, no chance of that happening. Put back Triumph of St. Catherine and Savannah. Or I could go Savannah Triumph and then... Okay, yeah, I'm going to fetch Savannah in response to the Miracle trigger, cast Triumph, defend it with Force of Will, and then Wasteland the Urza Saga. I think that's the best way I can catch up to what they're doing, whatever it is they're doing. Okay, they did not prioritize flipping Tamiyo. They're saving their mana for other projects. I'm going to get Savannah. That gets me all my colors. Play Triumph. Wasteland your Saga. I hope you cared about that. This is what I got. This is the plan. And now I'm kind of tempoing. I can force, stick Teferi next turn. Teferi is also pretty good against Urza Saga, but I have to do something about this Tamiyo. All right, drawing a clue before your land dies, and pass. This is me simulating a Bug Beans game plan, where I have a cheap threat, a scrub land. I wonder if this is that Marcus Ewald Esper tokens deck, or some version of it. Swords to Plowshares. No way, Jose. I'm going to force pitching Murktide. I value Ponder higher than Murktide at this phase of the game. And if we end up in a fight, I'm going to pitch Ponder next. They pitched Kaito to that. Okay, so this is not the token deck. It's like Esper Tempo. Maybe it is. All right, cool. All right, some kind of cool deck. Something or other's going on here. I cannot block that flying creature. Leyline Binding. That can answer Retrofitter eventually. I'm going to go for this Teferi. They could conceivably have Daze, but it's the only card they could have. And I'm going to yeet this Tamiyo and get my beats in. Okay. Pushing back. Leyline Binding costs 2 right now. I don't have a Swamp. Okay, this is that deck. Cool. Just mushing with a 5/5. Probably not a long-term solution here. That was an excellent draw. Very happy with it. I will attack my opponent first and see what they want to do. Okay, we love a chump block. And then I'm going to plow Tamiyo before she does anything, and I'm sitting on this Leyline Binding. I could just take the Retrofitter now before it does anything. I think I'm going to do that. All right, I'm just going to bet on collapsing engines here. Take the Retrofitter. I can't imagine they play more than one of those. And off we go. They've got 2 draws in the bank, so 2 cards in hand and can draw 2 more whenever they want. There's 1 Saga. That card's good. I have Loam and another Wasteland in my deck. There's another Teferi in my deck as well. Well, all right. And they could flip into Planeswalker here, but it would just die. So it's probably not even a good idea. Yeah, good call. Belingus. Well, well, well. Glad I killed Retrofitter Foundry. Okay. Bang, here they come. I'll get the Monarch now when they can't take it back. Also a huge crush of damage. They're going to take 7 here. Keep the Tamiyo. I hope they don't draw exactly Kaito to take the Monarch. All right, cracking their clue. Emergency meeting. Light from the Loam is Wasteland for the Urza Saga. Teferi's back to 3, so I can bounce something if I need to. Underground Sea, 2 cards left in hand. Oh, Tamiyo's on defense. Love to see it. And they scooped it. Okay, so I drew the 2 most aggressive cards in my deck and timed so that it was useful. That helps. Null Rod, pretty good here. Disruptor Flute, good here. I think I like Endurance just fine. There's a lot of lands in their deck that aren't islands, but there are also a lot of islands. I don't think I'm going to bring in Carpets. Pyroblast kills Tamiyo front and back, but a lot of their engines are black and white. This is going to be a Orcish Bowmaster deck. We saw Kaito. Pyroblast can kill Kaito. That's actually good. I think I'm going to back off 1 Force of Will, 1 Swords to Plowshares. Most of their creatures aren't worth a plow. Why am I bringing in another Endurance? I don't think that's important. I like the one I have, but I don't like adding another one. I think that's where I am with that. Terminus could sweep up a wide token board. It could also be a big chunky blank when I am ahead. I don't think I'm going to believe in it in Terminus here. Teferi's good versus Saga and Constructs. And decks that contain instants, believe it or not. I think I'm going to go -1 Uro here too. With the bargains, it's easier to find an Uro, and I wonder if it's just correct to build the deck with less than 3. I will try this. If I get wastelanded, I'm in trouble. But this is access to a lot of types of mana and lots of leyline bindings in a deck that is primarily based around non-creature permanents that then generate creature tokens. Archive dumped a Force of Negation. Does that mean they already have a force, or does it mean they're looking for a land? Those are my thoughts there. It means one of those things. I'm not going to fetch, because I don't need a Hedge Maze. I already have Trop. There we go. Spike to the domain. I can fetch Savannah and start binding things with my Leyline. Saga. This is cool because I can even exile a Staff of the Storyteller before it gets a counter on it, which is about to happen. Okay. Staff of the Storyteller, trigger, fetch, get Savannah, and then bind this before it even has the ability to draw a card. Worth a Force of Will. Nice. Force of Will pitching Force of Negation. Remember when they bin this and I said it means they already have a force or they need a land? Surprise. There's your answer. Okay, now I have some choices in front of me. I think I should get the Staff of the Storyteller out of play before I worry about what Urza Saga is doing. Though I am also worried about what Urza Saga is doing. Okay, another Leyline Binding. Just going to play this now. Get rid of the staff. I can plow a Spirit token, play Teferi next turn, bounce Urza Saga, bind the construct they make on the way out, and then Teferi's in play and can eventually bounce the Leyline Binding that has nothing under it. Lavinia. All right, well, I have a new target for Swords to Plowshares. Never mind. Okay, tokens attacking. I'll take these beats. End step plow. They prioritized Lavinia over making constructs. I think that means I'm just going to play Teferi and bounce the Spirit token. Or do we have Spell Pierce? Had it all along. Bowmaster in response. That's what's happening. Okay. Story checks out. So Teferi is in some trouble here. I could just plus him and see what they want to do about that. I can Leyline Bind Bowmaster, bounce one of the tokens, lose Teferi to another token. Or I can plus Teferi, have this defense grid in play, Leyline Binding in my hand, and maybe challenge it in the future. Okay, just to float. And if they get Pithing Needle off this to name Teferi, that's fine. I'm less scared of that than I am of Retrofitter Foundry. Yep, Retrofitter. I didn't bring in the Terminus, did I? I did not. Okay. Gonna have to do this the hard way. Making a Servo. They just had mana floating, might as well. Everything's attacking Teferi. I'm gonna bind the Bowmaster. That card is just the biggest problem for me. And everything my deck wants to do. Oh god, they have Kaito. That's so much worse. Alright, well, at least they didn't get to pick up Bowmaster to that. Surveilling 2 with Kaito. I did not lose life this turn, though. So this is just a Surveil 2. They don't draw a card. Dumped Flooded Strand and Force of Will into the graveyard. Ponder. Well, I'll ponder. Beanstalk and Disruptor Flute. I kind of like the Beanstalk. Like, let's just get something going. Beanstalk. Get to cast a Ponder here. I still have a land drop. Triumph. Okay. I like Triumph. So Beanstalk, Flute, Triumph. Do not shuffle, plus Teferi. I'm behind, but I'm doing stuff. Triumph is the kind of banger that could turn around against a board full of 1/1s. Attacking with everything. Kill Teferi with the tokens. 3 damage to me with Kaito. Surveil 2, draw a card is the mode. Okay, upkeep. Draw step. Trigger. I would like to do this. Triumph, trigger. Drew another Beanstalk. Triumph's in. And I'm going to pass into their turn and then Disruptor Flute Kaito. And then if they win some sort of interaction over this, I can follow up with Beanstalk, Murktide, draw 2 cards. They can make a 4/4 right now, but it's worse than a 1/1 unless they have a removal spell. But if they go in here on making the 4/4, thinking Kaito will be able to stun Triumph, that works for me. Okay, they went in. I'm going to Disruptor Flute now, and I am more worried about Kaito than Retrofitter in this moment. Kaito, Bane of Nightmares. Okay, big moment for them to not have a Swords to Plowshares. Fingers crossed. Teferi, no! All right. This could bounce Triumph, or it could bounce Disruptor Flute and then tap Triumph. Either one is a pretty good play. Okay, they did bounce the Flute. That means Triumph will stay in play. Oh, they plowed it instead. Just still had Kaito in the bank. Cool. Powerful stuff. But I do get to gain a bunch of life. And Surveil to draw a card, keeping those cards flowing. Okay, they have 3, potentially 4, 8, 9 damage. I'm going to go Beanstalk into Murktide here. Draw 2 cards. I think I'd rather keep the Flooded Strand available than play the Hedge Maze. Draw 2. Now I am going to play the Hedge Maze. I have access to... Do I want this Endurance? I don't think so. I have access to Mystic Sanctuary that could get Plow. Teferi can clear a Construct token. Thoughtseize. Well, probably not going to have a Teferi next turn. Teferi's gone. Stun the Murktide. Uro can gain back a lot of life. He's pretty good at that. I don't have a lot of life, though. Okay, a Tundra. I'm going to play Uro. Is it worth buying back the Swords to Plowshares? I don't think so. I really need a Pyroblast. Okay, here's Uro. If they just have a Bowmaster or something, I'm pretty dead. Gain 3, draw a card. Bowmaster. Yep, tough crowd. I go to 2, then I go to 5, then I go to 4, and then I lose. All right. Yep, they had too many engines going. A little too clunky there. All right, the Terminus should probably be back in. Yeah, 4th Aerolingus seems pretty bad on retrospect. I only had 1 Pyroblast in. Yeah, that still feels right. But Tamiyo and Kaito. And Teferi. Okay, never mind. I need another one. I like Null Rod. I like Disruptor Flute. I think the Endurance should come out. I had it and didn't want it. Okay, I'm going to try this version. I will keep this hand. It's got a bunch of good cards in it. I'm not going to crack my Misty Rainforest. I don't want to commit to the wrong land yet, because I have both Plow and Bargain. I'll probably just play a turn 2 Beanstalk, and then worry about Null Rod once they show me an artifact. All right, gotta get Tundra now. Priced into it. Beanstalk. We're in. Lorien revealed. That's my next land drop. Pluto Delta Pass. This smells like an Orcish Bowmaster to me. A Cycle Lorien. This can't get Savannah, unfortunately. I guess I'll get Volcanic Island here. Let's round out the squad. And I'll proactively deploy this Null Rod. Okay, that one's in. It's not currently affecting the game, but I hope it will at some point. This makes Retrofitter Foundry a blank. It makes Staff of the Storyteller quite a bit worse. Here's the Bowmaster that we all knew about. Bowmaster's getting in. We've seen Force of Negation in their deck on top of Force of Will, so they're pretty force heavy. Brainstorm, show off. I'm not allowed to do that right now. I can bargain though. Okay, draw for turn. It's a flute. Interesting. All right, well, I'm going to plow this Bowmaster first and see how that goes. Okay, it went well, is the answer. Mystic Sanctuary, get back, Swords to Plowshares. I am interested in that. And I think I'm just going to pass with this handful of instants available. Another Bowmaster. I'll Brainstorm over top of this. Found the Plow. There's Tamiyo. How far away is this Bargain from being useful? I'm going to put back Uro and Bargain in that order. Or I could put back... I could put Plow on top. That way they can't Thoughtseize it. Yeah, if I go Uro, Plow, that actually sounds pretty good. Okay, there's that. Saga. I can disrupt Urza Saga. Tamiyo. There's a lot of things that I need to plow all of a sudden. All right, Disruptor Flute. I'm going to play this, and I'm going to name Urza Saga if it resolves. Okay, got some work to do here. I'll play a Tamiyo and pass the turn. I'm going to plow Bowmaster now before they can hardcast Force of Will. Brainstorm in response. The flips the Tamiyo. And that Bowmaster is gone. 2 down. Saga ticks up, learns how to do something that it's not allowed to do. Now I have to decide if I want to burn off this Uro to get access to my black or not do that. Teferi Time Raveler resolves, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't think Uro is the solution to my problems here. I'm going to fetch my Xander's Lounge in the end step and then bargain on my turn. Xander's Lounge. Ooh, Murktide. We like that. Okay, bargain for black, blue, green. The deal of a lifetime. I did find a blue source here. I like Island, and it's Brainstorm or Plow. I think I want Plow. I have Draw Engine going, and the reason I'm doing this is because now I can play Tamiyo, and then play Murktide and draw my third card in the turn, and flip Tamiyo. Okay, Beanstalk trigger, third card, drew another removal spell. Now I have the biggest creature, and I've matched their Planeswalker. One of their Planeswalkers. The other one's pretty good. Done a good job controlling the Urza Saga between my two lock pieces here. If they have Pithing Needle, they have to turn off their own Tamiyo when they do it. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, just a retro fitter that currently doesn't work. Their deck's full of Swords to Plowshares, though. We haven't seen one yet. They got 6 cards in their hand. Polluted Delta. 5 cards left. They can Brainstorm or Ponder this turn with their Tamiyo, if they don't already have something they want. All right, had the Plow, and they can pick it back up if they want it. They can attack my Tamiyo for 1. The good news here, though, is if they had Bowmaster, they'll cast it, which it's bad news if they just have Bowmaster, but it's good news because they're not going to just snag a random thing. Okay, Kaito. That's even better. That kills their token. And I can Leyline Bind that. I have not lost life this turn. In fact, I've gained life this turn. They should only get to Surveil 1 and discard a card. I need a Flavor Judge ruling. Plus the Tamiyo. Alright, I got a lot of problems to solve here. Life from the Loam doesn't solve any of them. Plus Tamiyo, that's just happening. And I think I want to Ponder first. Because if I find Prismatic Ending, I'd rather Leyline Bind Kaito. And if I find Pyroblast, I'd rather Leyline Bind Tamiyo. Maybe that doesn't matter. Okay. I'm going to cast Ponder first. See if I want any of these cards. Uro's pretty good. That gains life and starts doing something. And then another Ponder to keep looking. All right. I'll take the Uro now. And then I'll cast the Leyline Binding. I think Kaito is my immediate problem. All right, delete Kaito. And then I could Ponder again here. I could also Life from the Loam, land drop, play Uro. There's a Brainstorm on top of my deck right now. Life from the Loam. All right. I'm going to Life from the Loam, Uro, Ponder. Savannah, play the Uro. This draws Brainstorm. Then I Ponder into 3 new cards. Fetch for Tundra. Ponder. Bargain, Brainstorm, Plow. Plow might... I already have a Plow. All right, so I'm going to put Bargain in my hand. Brainstorm's on top. I can see roughly 1 trillion cards next turn. And I'm going to need them because Tamiyo is going to be on ultimate mode. I think I should have put Bargain on top because we've seen Thoughtseize in their deck. That was a mistake. They shuffled their Ponder. I can just F6. They have Teferi in play. What am I going to do? Oh no, got by the thing I could have played around. Yep, yeah, take the most exciting card from my deck. That didn't need to be there. I can Tamiyo my Bargain back though. All right, there's Lavinia. I have the Plow. I will not be dredging Loam. I'm going to start by Tamiyoing back my Bargain. Or I should Plow first. Okay, Plow the Lavinia. And then get back Bargain. Oh, that was a green card. I get a mana. I'll get a black. Black, green, blue. I would definitely have forgotten that in paper, by the way. Make sure you're playing tight. Know what your cards do. There's that Plow. Force of Will, a blank, Teferi, not great. Murktide at least draws a card. Yeah, Murktide and Teferi draw cards. I guess I'll prioritize them that way. Brainstorm. It's your chance to shine. Pyroblast, we did it. Okay, put back these 2 lands. And I'll Teferi first to test their interaction. As if they have a force, use it or lose it. Pyroblast, destroy Tamiyo. plus my Teferi. Okay, we might have turned the corner here. We both have active Teferis. They've got 2 cards left. Their Retrofitter doesn't work. Plus their Teferi. Staff of the Storyteller, that doesn't work, but does make a 1/1. They could next turn get to a spot where they bounce my Disruptor Flute with their Teferi, use all their artifacts real quick, and then try to win. Okay, fetch. Get Tropical Island. 23 cards in my deck. I think I can afford to bounce this Spirit Token. Can I afford to play up the Beanstalk? Oh yeah. Beanstalk. Force of Will. If I can kill their Teferi, that's really good. Green, green, blue, blue. I'm exiling Life from the Loam, so I don't have to keep clicking through it on Magic Online. I don't think I'm going to be dredging or using Loam again. Wasteland goes in. I like that. Wasteland. I guess I'll take the Tundra. Murktide Regent. There is another Red Blast in my deck. I've already used Mystic Sanctuary. If I find the other Red Blast and can kill Teferi right here, I think I just win. Alright, that didn't happen. Okay. Force of Will locked in my hand. They have a turn to activate Teferi. I have 2 threats that can kill Teferi if they don't get any value right now. I think I've pressured the board enough that they can't afford to bounce Disruptor Flute. Teferi bouncing Murktide, fair enough. Kaito on the hard cast. This can stun Uro. Alright, Uro's sleepy. I'm going to plus my Teferi. Replay Murktide. I don't think... Can I afford to Beanstalk? I guess I'm gonna. Yeah, let's go. The way I lose this is if I can't apply pressure hard enough. And I think I can. Alright. I'm going to Wasteland them again. I'm going to hit the Meticulous Archive. I think I'm more worried about white than black, and I can't take them off of color entirely. Okay, here's Murktide, medium size, draws 1,000,000. Just literally all lands. Okay, Brainstorm. There's the Pyroblast. Okay, put back these fetchable lands, I guess. Or put back Misty Rainforest and Hedge Maze. Red Blast, kill Kaito. Or, I'm not worried about Kaito if I can cast Instants. Wait, that's not even true. I don't have Force Blue card. Alright, I'm going to kill Kaito. And bet on the board. Okay. Passing the turn, clean up, discard Flooded Strand. I am in decking range if I get Reckless. Plow, not great. Tameo, okay. I'm drawing Hedge Maze. Plow, this Tameo. I guess I have to play Triumph. And even though I lined it up, I can't afford to Hedge Maze away this fetch land. Okay, land. I have Prismatic Ending now, or Leyline Binding. That's dangerous. Plus Teferi. I guess I'm going to exile their Teferi. White, black, green. 8 cards in my deck. This is why I like Endurance. If I hit hard enough, it doesn't matter. Okay, they conceded. That's good news. That was going to be a tight one. Okay. A 2-3 record with 5-color beans featuring Rakshas's Bargain. We already kind of did the debrief after round 4, but the things that I would offer as feedback for folks working on this deck is, first of all, I think you do need an Endurance or some way to not deck yourself, especially if Uro is what you're beaning into. Like, if you're beaning and bargaining into a playset of Murktides, those can win the game fast enough that you might not need to tuck your deck and go another round. But if you're going to like dig into Uro, which also draws cards non-optionally on attack and can be ponderously slow, I feel like you need this. 2 might be too many Wastelands. Like, if you get 1 in there, you still have in out to something like Caracas or Dark Depths or whatever it is you're worried about. You have a Tool versus Urza Saga, but I do want to be able to cast Ponder on turn 1 and keep more hands. If you don't want to add another land, the second Wasteland could even be a second Lorien revealed. That's something you could do. Teferi, finding what you have to really assess your local metagame, decide if this card is good. Like, Teferi versus Oops All Spells or Reanimator is basically doesn't matter at all. Teferi in these Beanstalk mirrors. If it's these Beanstalk mirrors, if it's like the full 75 card mirror, Teferi is quite good. If it is Bug, where they have Bowmaster, it's quite medium. Fourth Aerlingus as a win con. Like, can we just play more Murktides? Obviously, Lingus has the ability to, on turn 25 of a game, just kill an opponent from 20 by tapping all your lands to cast it under Teferi protection. That's something that Murktide never does. But what are the spots where that matters versus just protect a Murktide for 2 turns while triggering your Beanstalk and getting a body down earlier? The games that we lost were ones where opponent got up under what we were doing and we were kind of on the back foot from the start trying to catch up to early pressure and we're unable to do it, or we were not able to pressure them, like that show and tell matchup where my hand looked near perfect but their hand was actually perfect, and if I had just hit them a little harder, a little faster, maybe their hand would have been 1 card less perfect when the fight came down to it. Ultimately, we know what this shell is, though. We've been doing it for however long Up the Beanstalk has existed. This is not a surprise. Tune your flex slots, really find out what matters in the metagame, and make sure you don't lose to yourself. Yorion is another thing you could do to mitigate self-decking. Spunky wasn't interested in Yorion. We did discuss that briefly with this particular episode, but I'm not really interested in Yorion either. I think in a metagame defined by Oops All Spells, adding 20 cards to your deck is not a good idea. You need the bangers and you need them often. But if your local metagame is more control-centric and you want to just play 4 bargains, 4 Uros, 4 Murktides, 4 Beanstalks, the OnZD special, then go ahead and do that. I'm going to leave this one here. Spunky, thanks for sharing the deck. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon. I'll see you next time.